Welcome. Today we've got a really fascinating explainer for you. We are going to be unpacking a deeply compelling theological framework written by Xuefeng back in early 2022. It outlines this highly structured 8-part system that explains exactly how divine justice operates in the world. Okay, let's dive into this and unpack how this incredibly unique worldview connects the most mundane, everyday details of our lives directly to cosmic judgment.
Here is our agenda. It's going to guide us through an amazing micro to macro journey today. We'll start by looking at the framework of divine justice, move into the personal and immediate, which is basically our living rooms. Then we'll expand out to society, nature, and environment, explore the unseen and eternal, and finally, wrap up by reflecting on the pathways as a whole.
All right, Section 1, Framework of Divine Justice, the core concept. We are about to explore a very specific and highly dualistic worldview here.
To really ground our analysis, let's take a look at the original text from January 30th, 2022. Notice the heavy emphasis on one specific word here, pathways. Xuefeng doesn't just theorize about abstract justice up in the clouds, he maps out the tangible, real-world avenues through which he states the greatest creator delivers justice directly to humanity.
So what do we mean by divine justice in this context? Well, it's defined as being administered directly through our daily interactions, environments, and everyday circumstances. So the crucial point is that in this framework, divine judgment isn't waiting at the end of life, it's happening right now in the mundane details. It's literally an immediate, continuous feedback loop. Now, this table brilliantly illustrates the entire system at a glance. It maps out 8 specific pathways. And look at the stark, binary contrast of this entire philosophy. Every single aspect of existence is categorized here as either a distinct reward from the greatest creator, like joy, abundance, or peace, or a distinct punishment, like pain, scarcity, or fear. There's really no middle ground.
Let's transition into our first thematic bucket, Section 2, the personal and immediate, home and hearth. This is where we see how cosmic justice gets grounded in our most intimate experiences.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the framework interprets basic family dynamics purely as mechanisms of divine feedback. Your closest people are literally pathway number 1. According to the text, if your parents, your kids, or your spouse bring you joy and bliss, well, that isn't just you having a good relationship, it is a literal reward. Conversely, if those exact same people bring you trouble and despair, that is categorized strictly as a divine punishment. Your home life is essentially the front line of divine justice.
But it doesn't stop at your family, right? The second pathway expands to your frequent associates. Look at the sheer scale of this social network. Relatives, friends, colleagues, schoolmates, neighbors, bosses, subordinates, lovers, and yes, specifically online acquaintances. The exact same binary applies. So, in this framework, even a toxic argument with an internet troll isn't just bad luck online. It's framed as a deliberate punishment from heaven.
Okay, next we move from the social over to the physical. Pathway number 3 is food. I want you to imagine looking at your dinner plate through this lens. If you've got abundant, nutritious food that keeps you healthy, you're being rewarded. But scarcity, poor quality, or getting sick from contaminated food, that is interpreted directly as a divine signal of punishment. Getting food poisoning isn't just biology, it's heaven sending a message.
Section 3. Society, nature, and environment. Let's move to and see how this builds into the societal and environmental scale. So, the source text posits our physical safety and our neighborhood harmony as the 4th pathway of divine intervention. If you live in a peaceful, warm, prosperous area, you are reaping a reward. But if you find yourself stuck in an environment filled with fighting, crime, and deception, the text explicitly states that the environment itself is an active punishment from the greatest creator.
The 5th pathway takes this all the way up to national and geopolitical governance. Now, just impartially looking at Xuefeng's framework here, it identifies social mechanisms as tools of divine feedback. A democratic, dignified, rights-respecting society is categorized as a reward. On the flip side, living under an autocratic, oppressive society filled with fear is a punishment. The text is essentially saying these massive political structures are actually instruments used by heaven to administer justice.
And the scale scales up yet again. Pathway number 6 is the climate itself. Good weather and smooth seasons, that's a reward. Experiencing incessant natural disasters, that's a direct punishment. The weather report is basically treated as a real-time reading of divine favor or disfavor.
Moving beyond the physical world entirely now.
Section 4. The unseen and eternal, the final destination.
Pathway 7 deals with what the text calls special events. This is basically what we'd call serendipity or random luck. Meet a helpful stranger who makes your trip smooth? That's a reward. Encounter someone malicious who causes you sudden obstacles? That's deemed a divine punishment. There are no coincidences in this worldview. Every sudden stroke of luck is a meticulously planned piece of feedback.
And that brings us to the ultimate climax of Xuefeng's 8 pathways, life's ascent or descent. The stakes move from temporary earthly experiences to eternal spiritual destinations. The ultimate reward is going to heaven after death, while the ultimate punishment is being reborn in the animal world or descending into hell. This pathway really anchors the whole system, showing that all those daily earthly things we just covered are just the warm-up for this final eternity.
Let's bring it all together. Section 5. Reflecting on the pathways, the micro to macro arc.
Think about the journey we just took through this source text. It seamlessly connects 8 distinct pathways into an incredibly airtight system. It unifies the micro details, literally what's on your dinner plate and who you're chatting with online, with macro cosmic realities like global political systems and extreme weather, all the way to the afterlife itself. It's one massive, unified binary system.
So, I want to leave you with a final thought experiment today. If you were to adopt this lens, where absolutely every interaction and every meal is a direct reflection of divine justice, how does that change the way you view your current circumstances right this second? It definitely changes how you might look at your next conversation, doesn't it? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope this really helped break down a fascinating and complex idea, and I encourage you to keep questioning and keep exploring.